Today's card of the day is Tenuous Truce. 1 and a white for an enchantment aura that has enchant opponent. At the beginning of enchanted opponent's end step, you and that player each draw a card. When you attack enchanted opponent or a planeswalker they control, or when they attack you or a planeswalker you control, sacrifice Tenuous Truce. Now hear me out. This card looks a little bad, but I think it's better than what people might think it is. Or maybe most people might think this is good. Maybe it's just me thinking that everyone thinks the card is bad. Who knows? Anyways, there's this card going around called Arcane Denial, and this has been a pretty common debate, or it's been a long talked debate, and you guys can, I guess, go through the internet and find out what people are saying about it. But there's a card called Arcane Denial, and the thing about Arcane Denial opposed other counterspells, yes, this is a counterspell, is it allows you to stop someone from playing a card you don't want them to play, while also keeping parity with the rest of the table. Now, one player does go up, I think, 1 or 2 cards. I think it's 1 card. I could be wrong here. Might be 2. I'd say 2 cards, be conservative. Now, one person does go up a couple cards, but the idea behind it is because they go up 1 card, them playing a cantrip, it's sort of meh, right? Like, you can probably still win the game if someone cantrips. The only investment out of you is 2 mana. And perhaps your deck is built in a way where you're generating a lot more resources than everyone else combined. And if that's the case, them drawing 1 card is so insignificant, usually it won't matter that much. And also, it does help to be able to interact with other opponents without needing to go down in card parity. At the expense of like interacting with another opponent that had done something then, right? This is like the good idea to have in regards to control decks, so they want to be able to interact with as much things as possible in order to get facilitate their win eventually. Now, this card is really close to that. It's enchanting an opponent, and the opponent does get to draw a card, but you have to understand that the more opponents there are potentially, this is like asterisk, the more opponents there are at the table, the better this could be. Potentially, in that, yeah, you're having someone else draw a card, but like they're also in the game needing to interact with other people so that they could win. So you're drawing someone a card, you're also drawing yourself a card, and now not only do they have to interact with people, but people have to interact with them. So they're drawing cards, right? But like they also want to win. So if that person who's drawing the extra card, who's been enchanted with Tenuous Truce, plays a card that people don't like, they have to interact with it. The other people have to interact, and potentially have to interact with it too. But the idea is there's a lot of not only politicking, but like threat assessment that has to be understood here. And if you get other people to interact with this threat before you do, and this is where turn ordering is like super, super important, then you generally just like net cards, right? You don't have to interact with this. You still have a card in hand, and you're still generating card advantage from this. I think this is where this is strong, right? This is, you want to think of Magic more in terms, especially in multiplayer pods, more in terms of 1vx, where X is the opponents you have, because someone has to win. And if your goal is to win, then having the ability to generate cards to protect your win or to facilitate more interaction, that way whenever you go for the win, then there's going to be less interaction for you. That's a good way to think about it. And so this is generally going to be pretty good for, and I think of it that way. I think this is generally going to be good in like, I don't know what pods want to play this, right? It's probably not in the higher level pods, because you giving an opponent a card is probably really bad, because it's a lot easier to go off and just win games at the higher level pods. But lower level pods, it's probably going to be a really good card. Like this is probably going to be like a 2 mana draw 10 cards over the course of a game. Games are slower. People understand politics a little more, or I guess go about politics a little more. And it's also easier to, I guess, politic with someone in regards to them understanding that, hey, yeah, I'm giving you this so that you can draw a card. Please don't hit me. I'll also draw a card, right? Like there's it's really beneficial for you to make truces in this way, / this happens more often in lower pod games. So it's probably going to be better in that sort of situation. But you have to understand that most low-level pods also do run more creatures, so that's a little harder that way as well, if they want to like break the truce. But also, if they break the truce, it's like weird, because I don't think I would ever break the truce. Like, someone enchanted me with their card out of their hand to draw me an extra card, but they also draw a card, like, oh, I'll take that. I'll take a free Phyrexian Arena. Now, it is also important to note that while you do get a free Phyrexian Arena, if someone doesn't enchant you with this, you draw at your end step. And so they can't win immediately. They have to wait an extra turn cycle, unless they do have instant speed win, which I think is just more common at high level pods. This is just a win-win. This is a win-win situation for the person who enchanted you and you in that case. But of course, I could be wrong here. I could be wrong, and this is like weird game theory I'm having. I don't know if that's the name of this sort of discussion, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Would you play this card? I think I'm definitely playing, especially in like decks where they're more resource oriented. They're not fast. They want to play more pillow 40. They want to play more control-y. I think this is going to be perfect in there. But yeah, like you drawing a card, keeping parity with, like, actually it's being even faster. You're going faster than the people who aren't drawing cards off of this like weird wonky 2-player Phyrexian Arena, because you're seeing more cards throughout the game because of this. In the ideal world because of this, right? I think this card is good. I think this card is okay. I think this is like fine for most monocolor white decks. Maybe even dual color decks, right? Because red has a lot of exiling impulse type of draw, which isn't really the best because that means you have to act right then and there. This you can keep in your hands and you can use the cards you draw whenever, and that's great. But let me know what you guys think about this card in the comments below. Do you think of it as a 1v3 scenario? In regards to if Commander's 1v3, is this good enough to play? Or should you just not have this card be played? I'm thinking it's just better off being played. It's a 2-mana Phyrexian Arena, in my opinion. But let me know.